Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner who has a product, a service, or a message that you believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind-the-scenes look into the real-world marketing and networking tactics and strategies for getting what you have in front of you to a lot more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and now let's get started. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's episode. Obviously, I have another interview coming your way, and I know you guys love hearing other people's stories of the things that they have done and what they had to grow through in order to get to where they are. And I'm also super excited about today's episode because we're going to be talking everything digital marketing. And, for those of you that have been following myself and my wife for years, we love digital marketing. We love tying those loose ends up within a business. And the person that I have for you today is someone that can speak very highly to that. I'm looking forward to this conversation. So Lorraine, Duncan, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, again, digital marketing is such a very, I don't want to say vague term, but it's a wide term in the online space. But before we get into all of that, for my audience that is not familiar with you and what you do, please share with them a little bit about yourself. But more importantly, what do you feel within your journey to what you're doing right now? What do you feel was the catalytic moment that set you down this path that you're currently on?
Yeah, so for everyone out there, I own a digital marketing company. I'm called BizGone Social. And how I got here is not the normal way of getting here. What happened is I worked in a hospital for years. And literally, I became a stay-at-home mom with my fourth child being born. Then once he went back to school, quick version, once he went back to school, I decided to look for a job. And I either was overqualified, underqualified, or they just didn't have a spot for me. So I was at a wedding, and literally there was a bunch of people at our table that we didn't know, but they were all disgruntled business owners. My husband owns his own business, and we two of us, well, why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? And basically somebody pulled me aside and said, hey, did you ever think of being a business consultant? So I actually looked it up. I didn't want to go back to school for another 4 years. So I decided that I was going to be a certified business coach. And I grew my coaching business with social media marketing. And that's how I arrived at social media, because it was sort of a happy accident. I really enjoyed doing it, but I really realized that I still could help people because my clientele is mostly small businesses. And so I really feel like I'm helping them. And sometimes it's not their product that's bad, but it's literally their, mindset.
Yeah. I like how you labeled that as a happy accident. I believe everything happens, for a purpose, on purpose. And, I always tell people, they always ask how you got into, using LinkedIn and then teaching it and then, consulting with some of the top financial firms out there right now. And it was out of a necessity for me, and kind of figured it out and got results for myself. And, once you prove a concept that works for you and then it becomes duplicatable for others, the rest they say is history. So, digital marketing is again, it's one of those terms that's being thrown around a lot. If someone was to ask you, Lorraine, how would you best define digital marketing? How would you describe that?
I usually tell everybody it's everything and anything online. It's a whole conglomerate. It's your website, it's your social media platforms, it's your email marketing. So I always say it's always all that. And I feel like that's a big, that's small enough that people could start, chopping away at oh, I need a website. Oh, I need this or I need that. And I mean, you literally don't have to have any of these things to start out in business. It's, everybody stays still for a little bit when they open up their business and said, oh, I can't start anything because I don't have a website. Well, I say get a client first and then the website, do the website. So, I mean, that's basically what I love to do for people is come up with strategy for their online marketing. And that could be a whole, depending on what they have. I usually don't work with anybody, for instance, that doesn't have a website, because I feel like that's a huge thing that you can market to. There's, pages on the website. And so I feel like it's an easy thing to just get out there in a big way.
So being a wife, a mother of multiple children, uh, being a parent myself, it's the most gratifying thing that's ever happened to me, but also it's the most challenging thing. As kids get older, different phases brings different things, but it's all amazing, and I wouldn't trade it in for the world. What's something that you learned in being a mother that you took that skill set and you were able to bring that into your business to help others with theirs? Because again, as the saying goes, the way that we do one thing is the way that we do everything. So what do you think attribute wise came from becoming a mother that you were able to bring into your business?
I think one of the biggest thing is I know this sounds like other people have said it and it's kind of coachy a little bit, but I think for me, it was showing up every day as a parent and being there no matter what was happening, and then being present, so being able to put aside, I'm in the middle of this project, or I'm cooking dinner, or I'm going to the ladies' room, or whatever it is. It's like literally I felt like doing parenthood was just being present, and in a lot of cases you really have to think before you speak. And one of the biggest things that I learned was, which is the same thing in business, is you have to choose who you want to work with carefully. And with parenting, what I did is I always chose my battles carefully. What am I going to battle over? Is this really that important? And as your kids, I don't know how old your kids are, but as they get into their teens, or if you do have the teens, it's a battle every day, because now they can say why. If you say no, it's, when they were little, they listen, but when they become teens, and it's like, well, why? And you can't give them, it doesn't work, and so I mean, that's one of the things that I brought into it. The other thing is I was there. Okay, when I say present, I mean I went to all their games, and I went to all, like, one of my sons was in band. I went to all their band practices and everything, their shows, and I was there. I was fully there. So I played all out, and now I'm in a different role, and now I'm still playing all out. And even in my business, I feel like anybody who comes to me with a problem, and that's when I'm in, the market for, is basically, you have a problem, let me solve it for you. And if I can't solve it for you, I'll find somebody that can. And I think a lot of people aren't willing to do that, but many times I have given out business to other people because I either couldn't handle it, it was too big of a job for me, or answer to it. So the same thing with my kids. I told them I didn't know everything. So I'm learning this game as we, as we play the game of life here.
No, I love that. I always tell people, and this is something that my wife and I believe, it feels just as good to give someone else business than it does for us receiving our own. Because knowing that you acknowledge to that person, I'm not the best fit for you, but I have this person who is, and knowing they're going to be taken care of. It's because, what goes around comes around. You have to, networking and, passing referrals and doing business with other people. That's the lifeline. An army of two is twice as strong as an army of one. If you're, the entrepreneur life for a lot of people is a very lonely place to be, because it's you and your computer screen basically all day, every day. I have the luxury, of doing business with my wife, and we also have, multiple communities of people that we coach. So we're around people each day, but, for solopreneurs, it's just them. You have to network. You know, you should be passing business back and forth. I just got off a phone call before this. You know, it was an old friend of mine. They started a new business. And I said, you know, I'm excited for you. And if I stumble upon anyone that I feel could be a good fit for an introduction, would be happy to do so. And I would appreciate the same courtesy back. That's the way that life goes. And that's the way that business goes. And, you know, our son's going to be 10. So he's almost in double figures now. And it's a fun age, but you know, it's an interesting age. Every age is different with kids. But I think for me, the one thing that I've really taken away from parenting that has helped me and my wife as we're growing our company is patience. Because as a parent, you have to have unbelievable patience because again, you're going to be tested all the time. But you know, Lorraine, you know that in business, you're also tested. In entrepreneurship, it's a roller coaster ride. You know, what's the first thing that you do when you get into that roller coaster? You pull the safety harness down because it is a wild ride. There's twists and turns and it goes forward, it goes backwards sometimes. But having the patience to withstand all of those things, especially in being a parent, is essential. Now, for the newer entrepreneur that is listening to this, that is really struggling with grasping and understanding the importance of being online, what's your best advice to that person and how they can get started in just being more present on social media with what they're doing?
Yeah, I always tell if somebody's not, if like they're not going to hire me or whatever, but they're, you know, they need my advice. What I say is start off on one platform and be consistent. Now I know, I mean, that's not the advice a lot of experts give today. Oh, start off on all of them. But my thing is if you can't be consistent on one platform, you're not going to be consistent on 7 platforms and then plus write a blog post. So, I mean, it's just not going to happen. And so I feel like that's one thing that I would tell them to do. But also, you know, if you're not talking about your business every day, I think this is so important because if you're not talking to someone about your business every day, you don't have a business. And I think it's really important that, you know, within your marketing now, it's not like a matter of buy this or buy my stuff or buy my garbage or whatever. It's a matter of asking them to do something, even if it's engaging on a post. Because so often, and I mean, I know, I mean, even me, I mean, like, I don't always get great engagement on my posts. And sometimes I do, and I don't, and then I can't even say why I did. You know, it was Sunday, afternoon. And I don't know why everybody decided to like my post that day. And so the thing is I think the biggest thing is that whatever you decide to do, set some goals, set what you want to accomplish with the online marketing, whether it's email marketing. I think you can never go wrong with email marketing because it's in the box until it's deleted. And many times I opened up an email that probably should have been deleted months ago, and I opened it up and it was like intriguing to me, and I ended up following up with that person because it was a great email. So the bottom line is that you just want to, you know, decide what your metrics are going to be. Maybe online I'd like to get, you know, followers, or maybe I'd like to grow my, don't do these big audacious numbers. I think it's ridiculous. Make it so you can attain it, you know. So basically what you want to do is you want to just make sure that you set the goals that you can win at, and then just keep on moving forward from there. And you know, there's a movie out there it was Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Well, you have to bring people to it. So it's like, you know, just because you put it open, I'm open, doesn't mean everybody's going to come. So you got to ask people, you know, to come, and you got to engage with people. And it's so, like, for instance, social media, it's social. So be social, get to know people, be relational, learn. I mean, many clients that I have now, it's not because I said, hey, you need digital marketing, hey, you need this or you need that. It's because we formed a relationship and we didn't even talk about business and they hired me. So that's that's what you really have to do if you're just starting out. And one thing I didn't mention, and I taught my kids this, is 2 things I taught my kids is don't quit. So many times one of my kids would say, oh, I'm tired of doing this. Well, you're going to finish off the year because you've committed to the year. I don't care what you do afterwards, but you'll finish what you signed up for. And the same thing with business. I was just telling my youngest son is going to be 24 in actually in a couple weeks. And literally I was telling him about the story about the guy who was mining for diamonds, and he stopped. And then they went and they showed an aerial view of it. It's an illustration, and the diamonds were right here. And I mean, and he was like about 2 inches away from those diamonds, but he quit. And so I told him, and my son's a great musician. I said, if you want this bad, don't quit, because you're not there. You haven't arrived. And no, 5,000 subscribers is not enough. You need more than that. You need, so don't quit. Just keep on moving and keep on moving forward. And then the other thing I always used to say, and I think this is important, if you're in business and you have an idea of how you're going to grow it, or there's some kind of plan, or maybe you have a whole networking plan you're going to do, implement what you say you're going to do. And I always say this to my kids: he or she who implements first wins. And that's my quote. That's me. And to be honest with you, I hear it in my head all the time, and I know they do too.
That's awesome. Great advice. Now, let me ask you this. Now being in the online business world, running your own agency, what is something that was more or less something that you didn't expect would be behind the curtain of entrepreneurship and running your own business that actually was? So, you thought entrepreneurship and business was this, and then you got behind the curtain and you're like, oh, I did not expect that to happen.
Yeah. So there's a lot. I mean, I feel like this whole entrepreneur thing has been a journey for me. It was like, so, I make the decision, I'm gonna have a business. And of course they didn't come, and then I realized, oh, I have to network, and I'm an extrovert, so that's okay. But the thing is really going into a room and telling people what I do was hard at first, but once you get used to it, it's kind of like riding a bicycle. Once you get on it and learn, you just keep on going. And so with each stage of business, what I didn't expect, and here's the thing, is that I thought everything to me always came easy. It's like I was really good at sports. I was really good at this. I was really good at that. This weekend I'm going to be celebrating 40 years of being married. I'm very successful at whatever I do, but I didn't realize, honestly, it was going to be this hard. And yes, I have a lot of things in place now, like automations and all that, but it's still, every once in a while, it's hard. It's like, and then you realize too, is like, you just can't say, I'm going to be in business, and that just because I want to be in business, you have to have a reason, and a lot of people will talk about that big why, and for me, it's always been because of health and family. I just want to, I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to see my family lives all over the place. So I want to be able to do that. And so that why, and the other things I do do some missions work and a whole bunch of other stuff. That is the reason for the business. So it's like, wow, is there some big, amazing things about doing digital marketing? No, it's what I do and what I like doing, but bring it to the next level. It's actually being able to do what you want to do when you want to do. I mean, we've talked about this before. I'm going to be taking a whole month off almost coming up in October. In September, in February, I'll be going to Costa Rica for a whole month. So it's like, I don't know what that's going to bring me. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do business from Costa Rica. So the bottom line is I couldn't do all these things without having a business. So the business is the means, but my why is so much bigger. It's relationships. It's always about relationships. My family is everything to me.
I think the big thing that you said, which I really appreciate, is that you didn't realize how hard this was going to be. And what I see a lot on social media are people making it look way too easy. They're, it's the get rich quick type things, just like you said, oh, you'll get 5,000 subscribers in 3 days if you do this. And I'm sorry, building an email list it takes time. It takes a lot of time. It takes consistency. It takes effort. It also takes something value that's being offered to that person that's going to give you their email address. That's the other big thing. But going back to what you said, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. It's one of the most gratifying and incredible experiences that you can grow through, because you learn so much about yourself. You really learn about your skill set, your talents, your gifts, but you become resilient as an entrepreneur when it's you versus you, because your competition is the person that looks back at you in the mirror each day. When it's you versus you, you're your greatest asset or your biggest liability, because you're either going to help yourself in what you need to do to grow your business, or you're going to hurt yourself. And just like you, when you and I first connected offline, you were on vacation. You were in the Carolinas, and again, I was a couple of days from going away for a whole week. You know, my wife and I, we try to take off a week a month. We only work 3 days a week as it is, but it didn't happen like that. It wasn't overnight. You know, my wife and I have been building this for almost 5 years now. And people are looking at us right now and all the success that we're having. Oh, it was easy for them. No, it has been an uphill climb every step of the way. The peak of one mountain is the valley of the next. You're always climbing. And I also love what you said about enough with these big, hairy, audacious goals that you're not going to achieve. The way that you climb up the rung of the ladder is one rung at a time. One at a time. Arnold Schwarzenegger actually said it best. He said, you cannot climb up the ladder of success with both hands in your pockets. You can't. And if you knock down those goals one at a time, right? And it could be getting 50 new email subscribers. It could be picking up 1 new client a month. Make the goals attainable so it proves that you can actually do this. Now that you've been in business and you're established, on the other side of things, now that you're really growing and scaling and you have more time freedom now, what's the biggest piece of advice you can give that beginning entrepreneur that, just like you said, they're 2 inches away from those diamonds and they're thinking about quitting? What's your message to that person?
Again, it's the same as I've been saying the whole time, is you got to keep going. Don't quit. You really, and just take it one day at a time. It's like you're not going to have unless, it's, goes viral, but you're not going to have a multi-million-dollar company overnight. It takes time. And so my biggest piece of advice is just keep on moving forward, and get one other thing is get a good group of people to surround you. I always say this is like, I only want to hang out with 10s. And I can't do the negativity thing. There's so many negative people out there. And sometimes you're going to get the biggest, like Arnold, mentioned Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he didn't have support from his family, and so a lot of you who are going on your business for yourself, your friends are like, I remember when I first went, into business, I had a part-time job and I was doing little things here and there. And literally, my friends were calling me, let's go out for lunch. And I'm like, I can't, I have my business to do. And they just like kind of laughed. And then my mom would always say to me, it's like, oh, why don't you get a job? I do have a job, Mom. And my dad, even when he was here, I had to take care of him last year. And he's like, what do you do? And it's like, so it's when you don't get that support, you need to find it elsewhere. So you need to find some like-minded people. And that's why you can't stay behind the computer all day. I mean, yes, I have an online job. I do a lot of online marketing, but I don't spend all day on this computer. I was at networking groups this morning. I was talking to people. I'm always talking to people. And, and remember what I said, if you're not talking about your business to someone, you don't have a business.
I could not agree more. That's you're in why you do business is the passion behind why it even began in the first place. And if no one's ever going to know about what you do, why you do it, how you do it, the purpose behind it, you can't ever expect it to grow. You need to, talk to people, network. That's what business is all about, is really allowing your voice to shine, right? It's almost like if you continue to withhold all of those talents and those gifts and those skill sets inside of you, you don't ever say a word to someone, how are they going to know what you do? And you can't be afraid. You gotta put yourself out there. And anything that's uncomfortable becomes comfortable. You just have to do it once. It's just, again, I correlate this to parents. How many times did you allow your kids to attempt to learn how to walk after falling so many times? The fact is you didn't. They get right back up, keep going. They roll over, they crawl, they pull themselves up, they start cruising, and then they're walking, then they're running, and then there's no stopping them. It's a natural progression. That's exactly how business is too. Now, Lorraine, as we wind down, if someone is interested to learn more about BizGone Social and how you work with people, what's the best way for people to connect with you on social media and or online?
Yeah, LinkedIn is always the best place. So, just type in Lorraine Duncan and you'll find me on LinkedIn and connect with me there. And just say that you heard me on the podcast, and then we can connect that way.
Awesome. Final question before we are done today. Lorraine, what does success truly mean to you?
It's how you define it. So for me, success is being able to have freedom. I mean, it's more than just freedom of like not working or to do what I want and spend my money where I want to spend it and spend time with the people who I really want to. And I mean, I can honestly say I'm getting into those years now. I'm, like I said, I'm married 40 years this weekend, but I'm going to be 60 years old this year. So it's like, now it's the time. It's like, I'm thinking of legacy. It's like, what am I going to leave for my family and the people who I love so much? So that's what I'm doing. That's success.
I love that. And again, you truly do define it yourself. And obviously you are doing that right now. And you're a wonderful example, not only for business owners, but for your kids. And I'm sure they are so proud of you. And that's the example that we want to be to our son and our future family as well. So Lorraine, thank you so much for being here today. All of the ways to connect with her are going to be in the show notes. So Lorraine, appreciate you and sharing your story and giving your time to my audience today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So everyone, again, all of the ways of connecting with Lorraine will be in the show notes. We do hope you enjoyed today's episode. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much again for checking out today's episode. And if you are listening through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, please leave me a rating and review. Let me know what you loved, what you would like to see improved, or ideas you have for future episodes. And if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, don't hesitate to go to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me, where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can work together. And don't forget to check out my wife, Nancy, and mine, our free community on Facebook called LinkedIn Leads for Life. We would love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you everyone for your support. Grateful for each and every one of you.